Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. And I want to continue on here today with the request videos that I get, and I've got a whole page full of them here. And a question was asked of me recently is, how do I let go of the emotional attachment to love? This is a very good question, and I want to approach it this way. I think a lot of people, when this question comes up and they start to realize that they've had a heart-center connection and they're really still reacting emotionally with the other person, I think you need to go back and need to understand something. Previous to the heart center awakenings that are taking place on the planet, we had very little experience, or very few people who ever experienced what I call the spiritual connection of love, relationship, and sexuality. They were rare. What we had was the emotional experience of love, relationship, and sexuality. And most of the people who are asking these questions or looking for information are people who previously were experiencing the emotional connection of love, relationship, and sexuality. So what happens is that when you take a look and you go back to previous relationships in your life, and you need to do this, go back and take a look at the previous relationships in your life and ask yourself this question. This person that I am involved with, or I'm getting involved with now, am I getting involved with this person because I love this person from the heart center vibration, or do I love this person from the solar plexus, from the emotional? But what will happen is you're going to say, what is he talking about? Because there's going to be confusion as to what I'm saying. When previously you got into relationships, you did it with the emotional experience of love. When you have the emotional experience of love going, the potential for codependency, and also using this expression, well, my partner is not fulfilling my emotional needs. And you need to ask yourself this question, well, did you marry or get together with this person that you're with because you love them, or you wanted your emotional needs fulfilled? Or did you think that being in love from the emotional level was automatically going to supply you with all of your emotional needs, your security needs, and offer you the situation of being codependent? Because that's what the emotional experience of love does. All of those things are a component of the emotional experience or the emotional attachment to the particular individual, call it the emotional love. So along comes the spiritual awakening in an individual, and they start to experience what they call love, but now the love is being experienced from the heart center chakra, and immediately, because there's still the residual pattern of the emotional expression, you get attached to the person that you feel this strong connection with at the heart center, and you automatically, you have no choice. This is what you've been programmed with as a behavior pattern. It's in your psyche, it's in your chakra system, it's in your mental, emotional body, it's even in your etheric body, so you react accordingly. So how does one detach from this emotional connection once you become aware of it? In reality, to be honest with all of you, there isn't a magic bullet or a particular meditation or a prayer or an invocation or any kind of structured thing that you can do. What happens is you are in a situation now where you're living in two different realities at the same time. This is the best way that I can explain this. You're living in the emotional expression and you're living in the spiritual expression both at the same time. So since you're transitioning from one to the other, the obvious thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to attract to yourself situations, experiences, people, opportunities that are going to offer you challenges. They're going to put you in difficult situations, and in some cases, situations you're not going to like at all. And here's where I'm finding a lot of people are doing something else. When these challenges come up that they're facing, what they're doing is it is a situation that is intended to assist you to change and modify your personality, to begin to expand it, to grow it, to evolve it, to move it into higher, if I may, a higher state of mind, a higher state of being, a higher state of thinking, so that you can gradually through this begin to detach from the emotional aspect. So what happens after a while is as you have these challenges come toward you, and people think, they're being punished, they think they're dealing with karmic overtones, they think that they've done something wrong, and none of these have any merit at all, because it's not that at all. It's because everyone is unique and everyone has their own personality, and their personality has developed according to their social structure, their family input, their ingrained belief systems, their religious indoctrination, their social and political belief systems. All of these take into consideration in your personality profile. So these are all going to change, and as they change, what happens is your concept and connection to the emotional experience of love begins to change and let go. So your personality changes. So you get to the point that after a while, you don't feel those emotions the way that you used to. Now, I'll elaborate on that for a minute, because a lot of people are probably going to think and say, well, what you're saying, Mel, is we're not going to experience emotions anymore or feelings. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're going to still experience love, all right, as we know it in its limited capacity here in the physical, but you're not going to do it from here, the solar plexus or the emotional center. You're going to do it from here. So you can still experience love, you can still experience passion, you can still experience anger, you can still experiencing jealousy, you can experience all of the previous emotions readily, without any problem at all, according to the situations, people, and circumstances that are coming toward you, but you're going to experience them from up here. Now, as many of you have discovered, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about if you've experienced it. And if you have experienced that where you're expressing the feelings more from up here than from the solar plexus, you'll know what I'm talking about. And some people just won't get it, okay? They will sooner or later, but they'll get it. And once you get to that point where you're experiencing it here, what's happening is this, is gradually, as these experiences, situations, people continually keep coming toward you because you're attracting them. Literally speaking, is the pathway of unfoldment or moving into a higher state of consciousness. Many people think it's under the guidance of the soul, or it's a divine expression, or some master teacher, or God is presenting these situations for you. No, they're not. As you begin to unfold, and as your thinking begins to change and you begin to transition from here to the emotional experience of thinking, feeling, and doing, to the spiritual connection of thinking, feeling, and doing from up here, your personality changes. So therefore your thinking changes. And when your thinking changes, what you see, what you visualize, and what you sense intuitively begins to change. So you're the one, literally, who creates the situations that are coming toward you, because consciously you think you're not doing it. But you've already, because of the heart center opening within yourself, you've tapped in to that higher consciousness that's already within you. So potentially, right from day one, when you have a heart center activation, and this applies to everyone in the spiritual community, it doesn't matter where they are in the spiritual community, and it doesn't matter where they are in society. They don't even have to be a participant in the spiritual community at all. They can be just an everyday person. As these things happen, this is what's being created. The problem with it happening in the general population is they're not really aware, they don't have any information or any mechanics, because all of the information seems to get labeled or pigeonholed under different titles in the spiritual community, and it's focused in different labels and different avenues. So what happens is these people don't get the information that they need. So as this progresses, you begin to let go of the emotional attachment, and you're expressing feelings now from up here. And to give you an example, you can experience anger. Well, I'll use the word anger because that's the word we will all understand. You can experience anger from here, from the heart center chakra, but it's different. It doesn't really feel like anger anymore. It just feels something along the line of disappointment, or a little bit of frustration, or it can even manifest as a bit of stress, but it doesn't manifest as anger anymore. So if some of you, if you had a temper before, you may find your temper has dissolved. It's simply disappeared. It's not there anymore. And things that would have really hit your button in the emotional center are not there anymore. And if you had a tendency to be codependent in relationships, and codependency is a learned thing. You weren't born with codependency. You learned it from somebody in your family or your bloodline, or someone in your family has had that tendency. So as you detach from that, what happens is you're going to notice your relationships with your family is going to change. And what happens is because you're changing and evolving, you're going to be conceived as being the problem in many situations, because you're not the same anymore, and they can't do to you what they've been doing for millennia and generation after generation. This is all indications of you're letting go of the emotional attachment of love, because love does apply not only to the present status of the relationship that you may be in, but love does apply to family members, to friendship, even to connection with animals. All of these things are going to change and evolve. So what happens is, after a period of time, you come to the conclusion, oh, I've changed. Something's happened. And you begin to realize that this is what exactly has taken place. So the emotional attachment is not something that you can work at. And when I say work at, I hear a lot of times in the spiritual community, I hear people say, well, I'm working on a karmic soulmate connection, or I'm working on karma. I have a debt that needs to be addressed, type of thing. And again, when I hear this statement is coming from the emotional body. It's from the emotional state of consciousness that is being expressed. Because once you understand you've had that heart center activation and you're progressing along, such things as these don't exist anymore, because they've been wiped clean from the energetic body within yourself at this point. I don't want to get too technical here. So the emotional attachment is something that evolves and moves upward. And emotion and the emotional feed in a, say, new relationship, the new type of relationship that's being formed, doesn't present itself as, well, my partner's not fulfilling my needs anymore. And if you're at that point where you understand that, you look at that statement and you say, well, that person's not anywhere where they should be if they're growing and evolving spiritually. Because what it is, it's a throwback to the old perception of being in love from the emotional level, because that's where most of our relationships were founded in the past. But that's changing. We're moving into that new format. So that doesn't apply anymore. So as this happened, you let go of more and more of these aspects. You let go of the fear of loss of love. You let go of any aspects of codependency. You get to the point where you actually feel very comfortable with yourself because you're having a relationship with yourself. Now, why do I say you're having a relationship with yourself? For this reason. If you know you're going through a phase like this where you're changing and you're evolving and you have situations coming to you that are offering you a challenge, you're finding it difficult, you're getting frustrated, you're angry, you're upset, you know you're changing. You don't like it. It doesn't make you feel good. And in many cases, you're in a lot of pain. But all of this stuff that you're feeling is all coming from the emotional expression and the emotional attachment to a lot of these things that kept bringing toward you your life as you knew it. I hope you can understand that part. Because once you understand that all of this difficulty and challenge and frustration and anger and pain that you're feeling, it's only temporary. Sooner or later, you will just do something. You will allow the process that's going on and not consider it, not try to fight it, not try to control it, not try to work through it. You will simply allow the process to continue because it knows exactly where it's going, because you created it. You're the one that creates the challenge, the difficulty, and the pain that you're in. No one's doing it to you. And it will continue on until you move your awareness and your focus, accept the gift that's been given to you of the heart center awakening, and then all of these emotional attachments can disappear and evolve to new ways of feeling and expressing your sexuality through the heart center chakra, the aspect of love through the heart center chakra, the aspect of relationships through the heart center chakra, and a complete no need for someone to fulfill your needs, someone to fulfill you security-wise, someone to make you happy. You see? You can be with someone who makes you happy, but it's no longer a need. Because you've learned something after all of these challenges you've gone through. You're now happy with yourself as you are, and you're very comfortable. And this changes the whole perspective for you. I hope that's been helpful. I don't want to continue on too long here at this particular point. So we'll leave it there. And I'm going to be continuing on here with a couple of more videos here today. I hope that was helpful to some of you out there. Have a great day, everybody. I enjoyed doing it for you.